Hey everyone, it's Kathy.
And Paul here with iDulting.
We're here to help you navigate the crazy world of adulting.
Because let's be real, it's a wild ride. We'll be dropping tips, sharing stories,
And maybe even spilling some embarrassing secrets along the way.
so get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, get ready to laugh, learn, and level up your adulting game. This is iDulting. Don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe, and share this podcast. Head over to iDulting.com for more information and to submit questions for us about iDulting.
And maybe even pick up some of our new merchandise. And if you know any fellow adults who need some guidance, send them our way.
And feel free to share this podcast freely out there. We'd like to get our numbers up. Welcome back, everybody. Today's episode, which will be part of a series of episodes, the next two we're going to say, is going to be about balancing mindfulness and planning. It's something I've wrestled with because how can I be totally in the moment and still plan my future? It's a quest I've been on lately to improve myself and make myself a better person. So when I heard about mindfulness and meditation, I was like, no way. That's way too frou-frou. Tough guys definitely don't do this crap. Truth be told, they do. Some of the toughest warriors in this country and on the planet do in fact receive training in and practice it regularly. Things like box breathing and mindful meditation are helpful ways to reduce stress and calm the mind. I personally have started doing mindful meditation and simple breath work several years back and have found that it does indeed have a positive impact on my mindset and stress levels. I also at this point can definitively say that it lowers your pulse and your blood pressure. An area I've wrestled with is how to achieve a healthy balance between staying mindful and present in the moment versus the need to set goals and plan. It's no secret, I'm a list guy. I like having lists. I like having goals. So here's some tips on it and what I found has worked for me so far.
Balancing mindfulness and future planning is a delicate but achievable art. Here's a breakdown of how to harmonize these seemingly opposing forces.
So first we need to understand the core concepts. And the biggest of it is mindfulness. In the concept, you need to focus on the present moment without judgment. It's important to say without judgment because you don't want to be negative self-talking yourself as you're trying to focus on the present moment. Be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, but you just want to let them pass like you're observing them. It cultivates a sense of peace and acceptance.
You want to work on planning and goal setting, looking ahead and defining desired outcomes, essentially setting future goals. You want to create strategies and timelines to achieve those goals. Like, I want to graduate high school in 4 years. I want to graduate college in 4 years. I want to get my master's in 2 years. I want to get a promotion at my job in a set amount of time. You want to provide structure and direction. So you need to decide what it'll take to accomplish your goals and then take the steps to do it.
How do we find that balance? To me, the first thing was I had to set some time aside. I had to intentionally take some time to plan and goal set. It's important that when you goal set, it creates boundaries to prevent future-oriented thinking from overwhelming the present. What does that mean? It means you set a time where you're going to sit down and you're going to daydream, so to speak, with a pad and pen and write down as if there was nothing stopping you. Where are you going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, 10 years? You can be as wild and out of control as you want. It's your goals that you're setting. Now, things like school, it's very easy. You want to get good grades, better grades, but you need to specifically state it. Similarly, dedicate time for mindful practices like meditation, deep breathing, and mindful walks. I'm a big fan of mindful walks in nature, by the way.
What is mindful planning? You need to approach planning with awareness. Be conscious of your motivations and avoid getting caught up in anxiety and perfectionism. No one is perfect. Recognize that plans can change. Be flexible in your approach, meaning you can have a goal, you can have a desired outcome, you can have a list of steps you need to take, but sometimes life gets lifey and things change. You have to learn to adapt. Consider that planning is a mindful act. It can be a mindful act. When you plan, you're being intentional about how you'll use your time and your energy. You want to celebrate small victories along the way. acknowledging your progress in the present.
Regular reflection is also important. Periodically review your goals and plans. I do this every morning. It's one of the first things I do in my routine. I get to do a specific routine every day that helps me set up my day for success and gets me rolling the right way. So every day I read a bullet version of my goals and assess whether they align with your values and well being. That's very important. I also read a value statement and I'm taking the right steps, including working out and doing cardio and eating right to increase my well being. Reflect on how your mindfulness practice is impacting your goal pursuit. One of the meditations I listen to actually states that mindful practice doesn't take time, it actually gives you time, which goes along with some of the core concepts that special ops soldiers and public safety people learn. So, reflection helps you stay on track both with your goals and your mindful practice. Another helpful hint is to, at the end of each day, review and reflect on your day. What went well? What could you do better? What didn't go so well? And how could it have gone better?
Acceptance and flexibility. Understand that life is unpredictable. Like I said, plans may not always unfold as expected. Accept the uncertainty and change, and be willing to adapt your plans as needed. Mindfulness helps with this by training you to be more accepting of what is in the moment.
It's vitally important to distinguish between worrying and planning. I'm good at both of those. I prefer planning, but in an unplanned situation, I get very anxious about things. Sometimes I hide it well, sometimes I don't hide it well. But you want to learn to differentiate between productive planning and unproductive worrying. To me, in one word, it's the what ifs. If my planning degrades into the what ifs, then I probably have started to be in the realm of worrying, and I need to reset my mindset and get back on track. Planning is proactive and solution oriented, while worrying is reactive and anxiety driven. If you notice your planning is causing you anxiety, take a break and practice mindfulness. Recenter yourself and understand that you may be trying to plan too big a chunk at one time. The way you get around that is you break that chunk down. You want to make small incremental steps every day.
In essence, planning provides direction, while mindfulness provides stability. The key is to create a harmonious relationship between these two aspects of life.
Tony Robbins says, if you don't have a plan for your life, someone else will. By incorporating these strategies, you can effectively balance the need to be present and mindful with the desire to plan and set goals, leading to a more fulfilling and balanced life.
I've heard you say this a lot. Most people don't design their lives, they react to them.
That's very true. And we want to avoid reaction. You see, I learned from a battalion chief from FDNY a long time ago. He made a statement in one of our leadership training classes called Grow the Pause. That pause gives you a second to contemplate what's going on and internally in your head, plan for a response. Notice I said response. We don't want to live in a reaction world. A reaction world is a dangerous world. We're making decisions based on incomplete information, on gut feelings. It's not the way to operate your life on a day-to-day basis. When we're in the midst of an emergency or there's a family crisis, sometimes you do have to react, and you're hoping that through your proper planning that your reactions are good. But the best move is to have done that proper planning so that you can stay in a calm thinking sense rather than a fight, flight, or freeze sense, and respond rather than react.
Did you ever notice that there are days where you get out of bed, your phone's already blinging, and the dog is barking, someone's at the door, and your emails are, lighting up your screens. You do all of this, and then you go to work or you go to school and you interact with a ton of people, and you bum rush yourself through lunch because you're so busy. And then you get home and there's chores to do and dinner to make and decisions that have to, get taken care of, and that you're just exhausted at the end of the day. But if you look at your goals or your day as a whole, you feel like you haven't even gotten anything actually accomplished. You haven't moved forward.
I actually kind of live that life with a slight difference. I've always had career and professional goals. But for a long time, my professional and family life, it went on autopilot. I felt like life was running me rather than I was running life. And it wasn't until I was able to start picking up these mindful practices and the breath work I do, where I was able to start reclaiming it. The other thing I say that's very related to this is self-care is survival. Self-care isn't selfish. What the self-care is enabling me to do is to get in the moment, re-engage the plans, recharge, and re-engage life. I'm responding, not reacting.
You put in your notes here that don't start a to-do list. Why?
We can laugh at this because I've made lists to contain lists. But a to-do list, that just keeps you busy. It's not moving you towards your goals. The best thing you can do is make a smart goal, and then you chunk it down into doable related things, because the mind can't handle any more than 2 or 3 options before getting overwhelmed. So what you want to do is chunk your things down into small, manageable pieces that you can take care of and that don't overwhelm you. A good example of this is, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, you go to a diner, you're not sure what you want, and it's a 14-page menu. Does that help you?
Nope.
I recently heard, and I wish I remembered the author I heard this from, he goes into any restaurant that's new, looks at the menu in linear fashion until he finds what he wants, and then he puts it down. He doesn't look any further. He doesn't introduce any other choices because he recognizes that any more than 2 or 3 choices overwhelms the mind. We're not able to do it. And I know a lot of young adults are like, but I can multitask. No, you can't. What you're doing is task switching. And if you add too many tasks, something gets lost.
I know he doesn't believe in a to-do list. I've always had every morning get up, especially when I was a stay-at-home mom, make a to-do list of things that needed to get done around my house, and I would check them off. And at the end of the day, I had so many things on my list, there wasn't enough time to get it done. So I switched to a to-done list. Pretty much what I would do is I would get up, know in my mind things I wanted to get done, get them done, and I would start my list after each thing I accomplished. I would put it on my list, and then at the end of the day, I looked at the list and went, look how much I got done.
That seems like a good suggestion. I'm not saying that there's not a place for a list, but as a planning tool, a to-do list just isn't that effective nor that compelling. It's just assigning yourself chores, and who wants to do chores? So if you don't decide that you're going to run your life, someone else is going to run it for you, or life is just going to run itself. A life on autopilot isn't one that you experience the wonder in. It's not one that you are mindfully enjoying the sunrises, the sunsets, the wildlife around you. I get myself caught up in this. I'm driving to work and I often complain about the grind, the treadmill of life. And then when I am in that mindful moment, I realize the world is a beautiful place. I see a sunrise, I see the trees, I see beautiful weather. It's a much more fulfilling experience when I'm running my life rather than being run by my life.
Do you think you can call me when you're in that mindset?
No, I'm busy. I'm busy being mindful. So here's the way I do it. In the morning, in my routine, first thing I do, I wake up, I think of 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for. I usually do that even before I'm out of bed. Helps me get in the proper mindset. Then as I'm stumbling around the room, I make sure I'm taking a couple of big deep breaths. But as far as daily planning, I don't start with a to-do list anymore. Now I start with the end in mind. What's the outcome I'm looking for? And I work it backwards to find out what it is I can do today to get me closer to that end. Next up, I look at what's the purpose? Why do I want to do this? But the most important motivating factor is your why. Why do I want to be in better shape?
So you live longer.
And so I have a great gun show. But you're right. So I live longer. Why do I want to make this podcast?
Because you're appeasing me.
Well, then, yeah, some days. I guess that's true. But I would like to improve the lives of millions of people and make life easier for people. For me, and what I would suggest is connect with your whys. You'll find they motivate you much more than, oh, I have to. And then after that, you need a massive action plan. Now, that doesn't mean that you're doing all of the steps at once. It means you have to have in your plan definitively, what steps are you going to take? What is it that you need to move the needle? And how to choose the smartest high impact items that will help. And we can talk about the 80-20 rule. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 80% of stuff is done by 20% of the activities. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So what you're doing with your massive action plan is you're distilling it down to find the vital things that are going to actually move the needle. For example, if we talk about going to the gym, or even in my case, because I'm very fortunate, going to the garage gym, which I call Iron Forge, because iron sharpens iron. It's many more steps than that. But if I start thinking about all of them, I talk myself out of it. And none of them are really move the needle type of things. Like if I get up in the morning and I think, oh, I have to put my sneakers on, I have to put my shorts on, I have to put a shirt on, I have to walk all the way down to the garage, I have to put the weights on the bar. No, don't think that way. Thinking that way talks your subconscious out of it. What I think about is I have to go lift. One step, not all those other steps.
So we have a challenge for you. We would like you to pick one area of your life that you want to elevate right now. Your health, your business, your relationships, anything. Then ask yourself, what do I really want here? Why do I want to elevate this area? And what's my plan to make it real? Because this is your life.
What you need to do is focus your energy, focus, and strategy. If they're all aligned on what matters most, that's where breakthroughs happen. This is where you take control and you're driving your life. I challenge you, do it and be mindful. Take time to smell the roses. Don't lose yourself in the progress, or there is no fulfillment at the end. You just get there and go, okay, I'm here. Now what?
So stop reacting.
And start responding.
Stop managing your time.
And start planning your time.
Start designing lives that are rich in meaning, purpose, and joy.
We believe in you, and we know times are challenging. I know this. We seem a little lectury, and that's not the intention of this. We're truly, very selfishly, actually hoping that our children miss some of the hard spots that we had and their friends. A benefactor of that is all the adults that are out there listening.
Just remember, you've got this, adults. Keep your head up, your spirits high, and keep adulting with us. Go forth and conquer the world, or at least your to-do list.
And don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe. Tell your friends, share the podcast, and head over to iDulting.com for more information and to connect with us. See you on the next episode. Be safe.